Here's a gentleman that really don't need no introduction. He really doesn't. You're going to see what I mean by that in a few minutes. But would you put your hands together and let's welcome Aaron Wilburn.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know what I don't understand is after they say, here's a man who needs no introduction, they go ahead and introduce him. Well, I tell you, this is one church that it would be hard to fall asleep in. But I don't think falling asleep in church is a good idea anyway, especially for single guys. Single guys, do not fall asleep tonight. Remember Adam? He was single. He went to sleep. He woke up married. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee now, but I'm originally from Alabama. That went over big. I love being from the South, though. I call it the land of y'all. It's the place where we'll have Lordy contests. Oh, you sit out on the front porch in the afternoon when the sun's going down, and you just sit there for a while, and then finally you start rocking a little bit. And then somebody says, "Ooh, Lordy." Then somebody else says, "Lordy, Lordy." Then somebody else says, "Lordy, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy." And before you know it, you've just got a Lordy, Lordy chorus going on the front porch. And I love the South because it's the place where dessert's not food. I love that. I know it's not food because I've heard time after time, "Would you like some more potatoes?" "Oh, no, thank you. I've had all I can eat." "Would you like some more chicken?" "Oh, no, thank you. I'm full." "We have some peach cobbler." "I think I will." It's the place where we say strange things. You know, we talk slower in the South than they do in the North. And I guess that's the reason we can't pronounce all of our words, because it would take us so long to say everything. So in the South, we don't ask, "Have you eaten yet?" We say, "Jeet yet?" We don't say, "Come here." We say, "Come here." Somebody asks, "How far is it down to the store?" "Oh, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump." Well, I think I'll just mosey on down. They don't know how to mosey in the North. Oh, but we know how to mosey in the South. Parents say strange things to you when you live in the South. "I'm going to beat the tar out of you." My mama whipped me enough they could have paved the highway with it. She used to say, she had this little scriptures and little mottos that she used to put on the wall. She had one that said, "I need thee every hour." And she hung a leather strap beside it. But Mama used to say, "I'm going to fix dinner." And I wondered what's wrong with it. And when it was snowing outside, I'd start into the house and she'd say, "Shake your clothes off." Well, I don't think I want to, Mama. Can I keep them on if it's all right with you? Thank you. And wash your hands off. I tell you what, you can end up really strange looking in the South if you just listen to what people say. And I know what some of you are saying. He's different. That's okay. Say whatever you want to about me. That's okay in the South. You can say what you want to about anybody. You can talk about how ugly they are, how much weight they've gained, how bad they're looking. Oh, he's looking peaked. He looks sick. But you got to say, bless his heart. My goodness, he looked like he invented ugly. Bless his heart. Yeah, and have you talked to that woman he married? I think she's one brick shy of a load, bless her heart. Yeah, and have you seen their baby? Most babies are cute, but it can't help it, bless its heart. God love it. But we fix everything with bless his heart. I know what some of you are thinking right now. Bless his heart. I tell you what I want you to do. I want you to just turn around to the person on your right or your left, and I want you to look at them and say, bless your heart. Now, I know what some of you are just sitting there itching to do. You want to look up here at me. Go ahead, look up here and say, bless your heart. See, don't that make you feel better? There's just something about bless your heart that just makes you feel better. Well, first of all, I want to tell you why I am the way I am, I think. I was home. Bless your heart. I was home for Christmas last year, and my sister, after I made some kind of weird statement, my sister said to my mom, "Mama, he's not like the rest of us." What happened to him? And I wouldn't leave well enough alone, so I had to be really stupid and ask, "Yeah, Mom, was I ever dropped?" And my mom said, "You know, I forgot about that." She said, when you were about 2.5 years old, a girl named Geraldine Downs, remember that name? Geraldine Downs was holding you, and I heard you cry, and I walked out onto the back doorstep to see what had happened, and she had dropped you. So if some of you tonight, you're sitting there and you're thinking, he shouldn't say all these things in church, and you were getting a little bit upset, maybe a little bit angry. I don't want you to be angry. I want you to feel sorry for me. I've been dropped. On the way in, we passed Six Flags. My son said, "Oh, Dad, we've got to come over here to Six Flags." And I said, "No, we don't. I don't ride those rides. I don't get on a merry-go-round." And people that ride rides are just like people that get up early in the morning. They think everybody ought to. Oh, they'll show you that ride that whirls and twirls, and they'll say, "Oh, let's get on it. It'll be fun." No, it won't. It'll make me sick is what it'll do. And the reason I don't like to ride rides is because I had the ultimate ride. Oh, I must have been about 6 or 7 years old. We've all got cousins or brothers or sisters that just waited for us to come along so they would have something to keep them busy. And my cousin Randy and Jimmy felt that way about me. It's like, what can we do to him today? One day they put me on a bicycle that didn't have brakes. I ended up at the doctor with stitches in my head, and I haven't been the same since. Bless my heart. And then one day we were in the barn, we were playing rodeo. Jimmy and Randy said, let's ride the bull. My uncle had a half-grown bull in the stall. And so they got on the bull, taking turns. The bull could hardly turn around, so it was pretty safe. And they wanted me to get on the bull. I didn't want to get on the bull. And then they said, if you'll get on him, we'll tie you on him and you can't fall off. There was a time in my life when I was not nearly as smart as I am now. And I got on that bull and they took twine from bales of hay and they tied my hands around the bull's neck and they tied my legs up under the bull, and then they said, now since you can't fall off, we're going to open the gate. And they did. And 2.5 acres in Alabama is like 40 acres in Texas when you're on the back of a half-grown bull. It took my dad and my uncle and another man a while to catch that bull, but I didn't fall off. I wanted to fall off. I couldn't fall off. And so now I don't ride rides. Because all those people that are out there at Six Flags and Opryland, they're looking for the ultimate ride. I've had it. But whether you're tied on the back of a bull or whatever's going on in your life, it could be worse. And I heard the story about a man who had a friend, and his friend's business expanded to the point he had to build a new building, a larger building across town, and move his business into it. And on the day of the new grand opening, he sent flowers to congratulate his friend. Went by that day to make sure the flowers had arrived, and sure enough, they were there. But on the arrangement, it said, "Rest in peace." And he called the florist and he said, "This is really dumb. You've made a stupid mistake." And he chewed the florist out and chewed the florist out. Finally, the florist said, "Hey, man, cool it. You have no right to be this upset. I did make a mistake. I admit I made a mistake. But let me tell you, you're the lucky one. Somewhere in a cemetery, there's one that says, 'Good luck in your new location.'" I want to talk just a little bit about husbands and wives. Marriage is a strange situation. It's what I don't understand about women. What's so different about women and men is when women dream dreams, it's real. They'll wake up mad at you. You wake up and say, "Good morning, honey," and she'll say, "Don't honey me." What's wrong? You know what's wrong. No, I don't know. That woman that lives down the street, you know. No, honey, I don't know. Yes, you do. I dreamed about it last night, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. What did you dream, honey? You were making eyes at her. Honey, I didn't do that. Well, I saw it. And they'll get mad because what they dream is so real. My wife woke me up one morning, I was just lying there comatose. And my wife sat up in bed and said, kitty, 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 kitty. And she laid back down. And I sat up. And I asked, what's wrong? And she said, oh no, I feel so stupid. I dreamed I called the cat. I said, honey, that was no dream. You called the cat. I think about things. I think about things like if they can send a man into outer space, why can't they make a toothpaste that doesn't stick to the porcelain in the sink? I ask myself questions like, why does the bug always hit the windshield right in front of your face? We were driving along the other day, my wife was driving, and the bug splattered right in front of her face. And she said, that makes me so mad. And I said, honey, it didn't make his day. The amazing thing about husbands and wives is usually you never find two people just that look like they ought to be together and act like they ought to be together. It's like, are you believing he married her? They just don't go together. Some like it cold, some like it hot, some freeze while others smother. Then by some cruel, fatal plot, they marry one another. It's like opposites attract. And then there's the stages of marriage. Past the honey, honey. Past the sugar, sugar. Past the tea bag. Men, why do they ask us questions like they ask us sometimes? Honey, have you seen my blue dress? No, I haven't worn it lately, baby. Just this week, my wife asked me if I had seen her black dress pants. And then she wanted to know where her high heels were. I don't know how women walk on those things. I think coats and ties were manufactured by a woman that was mad at her husband. And then I think he got back at her by inventing high heels. But I think about why they do the things they do. See, we worry about different things. Women, for instance, they worry about wrinkles and their hair getting gray. Men just mature. And you know you are going into that maturity stage when your knees buckle but your belt won't. My body keeps adjusting under middle-age attack. My waistline's pushing forward, my hairline's pushing back. You know that you are going into that maturity stage when you have the uncontrollable desire, even the need, to take a business card and use it for a toothpick. Men don't worry so much about wrinkles and gray hair. We have other problems. Our hair stops growing on top of our head and starts growing out our ears and nose. Isn't it the truth? We've got a new baby at our house. She's just a few months old now, and Emily. Oh, they say they'll light up your life. They'll light up every light in the house about 2 o'clock in the morning is what they'll do. Babies are wonderful, though. We were concerned about names. We named her Emily Brooke. I can't understand it now. I'm from Alabama originally, and I kind of watch people in the news, and I listen to names. Now, I can understand a mom and a dad naming their son John or Joe or, but Newt. And then in Alabama, our governor there in Alabama is Fob. Now, who would look at a beautiful little baby and say, oh, let's name him Fob? Well, I guess it's none of my business. But it's a strange thing. And baby girls are wonderful. She's just taken my heart. She's stolen my heart. And in about 13 years, when the young man rings our doorbell and asks, is Emily here? I've got some scripture of my own that I'll quote to him. I'm going to look at him and I'm going to say, no man gets to the daughter except first of all he comes through the father. And if that doesn't do it, then I'm going to say, this is my daughter and I love her enough to die for her. Do you? A little bit of a serious note. I wonder how many men, if a young man, 16, 17 years old, rang the doorbell and said, hi, you don't know me, and you don't know my parents, and you don't know where I live. But I'd like to take the car out for a while tonight if you just kind of give me the keys. What man in his right mind would say, sure, take it out for a spin. Here's $10 for gasoline while you're out. Isn't it amazing that we wouldn't turn our car keys over to a young man that we don't know? But we turn our daughters over for 3 or 4 hours and let them drive away with somebody we've never seen and have no idea. Maybe it's because daughters are not as important as cars. Ooh. Aaron, I thought you was going to be funny. Now you're meddling. Well, I'll get back to being funny then. I can't understand why we spend that much time and money raising something that's going to be ashamed to be seen with us in 13 years. And when she is about 13 years old, she will no longer have the capacity nor the ability to say the word mother. Every time she starts to say M-O-T-H-E-R, it'll come out like mother. Honey, no, you can't go out tonight. Mother! Just hang in there. Stay with it. It'll be okay. They'll learn how to say mother again. Oh, kids. Heard the story of the little boy that ran to his mom and he was really crying. And she asked, what's wrong, son? And he said, Daddy was hanging a picture and he hit his thumb with a hammer. And his mom said, well, quieten down, son. He'll be okay. Don't cry. And he just kept, ah. And finally his mom said, son, be quiet. You shouldn't be crying like this. You should have laughed. He said, I did. And they say things, parents say stuff. No wonder kids act like they don't hear us sometimes. We spend all that time thinking they're not listening. Well, listen to what we're saying to them. Don't you get smart. No? Okay. Adolescence is that time in a young man's life when he cannot believe that he'll ever be as dumb as his dad. My son had a birthday. He turned 20 back a few months ago. And on his 20th birthday, I said, Jim, happy birthday and welcome to the 20s. And I said, son, you're no longer a teenager. Now you're as dumb as I am. But we say things to him like, come on or I'm going to leave you. We're not going to leave them. They know we're not going to. One more time. If I have to tell you one more time. Don't make me whip you. Don't you worry. I won't make you. If you do, you'll do it on your own, Mama, because I won't make you. I was in a church the other day, and a lady had twins sitting on the front pew, and she shook them and sat them back down, and she said, I'm going to jerk a knot in your tail. I thought, oh. See, what I don't understand is we spend the first 3 years of their life teaching them to talk and walk. And we spend the next 15 years telling them to sit down and be quiet. And we say real dumb things. And they make us say, I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. Y'all ever have to say, I'm sorry, and kiss or hug your brother or sister that you just had a fight with? And you still had claw marks on the side of your face, and your mama made you say, I love you. Boy, it was from the heart, wasn't it? I love this sign. I saw a sign the other day, Ramada Inn, kids stay free on the weekend. And I thought, why don't we all get our kids together and just take them over and drop them off? Another thing, moms say to children, you're not listening to me. Sometimes it's the other way around. I remember my mom would be cutting onions, and I'd say, Mom, don't put onions in it. I don't like onions. She'd just keep on. Mama, please don't put onions in there. I don't like onions. She just, like she didn't even hear me. And I'd say, Mama, please don't put onions in there. I won't eat it. I don't like them. Standard answer. You can't taste them. Well, then leave them out. And they say, wipe that smile off your face. I guess we all must have been farmers, because my mom used to say, I'll clean your plow. You never have to worry about getting lost in life. Do you ever realize that? Because no matter where you are, sooner or later, somebody will come along and say, there you are. Well, here I am. And I love it because they'll even let you know when you've got a haircut? You got a haircut. Like you didn't know that you got a haircut. No, honey, that was not me. That was Samson that didn't know he got a haircut. I was awake and I was there. Now, you think about the kind of posture you would have if you listened to what people tell you to do. Keep your nose to the grindstone. Keep your feet on the ground, your hands on the wheel, and keep it between the ditches, and get your head out of the clouds. See, I'm not weird, and I know I'm not weird because I watch some other Christians. There's a guy out west, he's got a helicopter. He's taking folks up for helicopter rides. They're taking homemade swords and sticking them out the window of the helicopter and fighting demons of the air. And y'all thought something was wrong with me. First of all, I want to know, how would you know when you got one? And second of all, I think we've got all the battle down here that we need. I don't need to go up there stirring up trouble if there's anything up there to stir. But I just... Another thing I want to know is, who are these people in the picture frames that you see at Walmart? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Just be walking, oh, there's my mama. I won't have to buy a picture of her now. I'll just take this. I was in a motel the other day and I knocked on the door. The lady said, maid, maid. I said, she's not in here. You know, I think everybody laughs more when I just shut up. I don't know what that says. I think it says he looks funnier than he is. I just remembered a story about a little mouse that went to heaven. Little mouse went to heaven, and after a few days, St. Peter asked, how do you like it here? And he said, well, I like it, but my little legs are so short, I can't get around to see everything. St. Peter said, no problem, here's a little skateboard. So he gave him a little skateboard, and that little mouse started using that little skateboard, and he just boogieing all over the streets of gold, and he enjoyed himself, and all the other little mice saw it, and they wanted one like it, so they were all given little skateboards. A few days later, a cat arrived. A few days after he had arrived, one day St. Peter asked him, how do you like it here? And the cat said, I love it. And St. Peter asked, what's your favorite part, those mansions? And he said, no. You like that river of life? Yeah, but it's not my favorite part. He said, well, what's your favorite? And he said, oh man, I love those Meals on Wheels. I was in the church the other day and the pastor said, stand all over the building. I thought, boy, he's big, whoever he is. I was in another church and the pastor said, raise your hand right where you are. And I wonder, where else are you going to raise your hand? At the close of the service, they usually say something like, bow your head, close your eyes. If you have a need in your life, come to the altar. It's hard to get to the altar with your eyes closed. So in the Baptist church, you can kind of sneak to the altar, pray real quick, and then get back to your seat before anybody else opens their eyes so they won't wonder what you did that week. Because some folks have the gift of suspicion. Then I visited a Pentecostal church, and I found out that what works in Baptist does not necessarily work in a Pentecostal church. Because you can sneak to the altar in a Baptist church and sneak back to your seat, no problem. You go to the altar in a Pentecostal church, and you pray for a few minutes and you think, I feel good. I'm going back to my seat. No, you're not. You're surrounded. You got about 4 people around you. One in front saying, hang on. One behind saying, turn loose. One over here saying, empty him, Lord. And the other one saying, fill him, Jesus. And if you're a Southern Baptist, that'll freak you out. Then you find out some folks can't pray if they don't spray. And the people that spit the most will pray with you the longest. They'll spit all over you and then ask, are you washed? Jeff Foxworthy has this little thing that he does, you might be a redneck if. I got to thinking about that a few days ago. I came up with my own little list. See, I'm Baptist, so I can say anything I want to about Baptists. You might be a Baptist if you've ever heard your pastor call down his kids in the middle of the sermon. Hey, Roy, you stop that talking back there. Get up here and sit down beside your mama. I'll take care of you after the service. Let's turn to John 3:16. You might be a Baptist if you know of a church that ever split over the color of the hymnals. You might be a Baptist if you want the front of the bus, the middle of the road, and the back of the church. You know you're in an old-fashioned Baptist church if the road out front splits and one goes to the women's and one goes to the men's. You might be a Baptist if everybody knows where you're going to sit before you get there. Or you might be a Baptist if, when you start talking about Sunday dinner, chickens get nervous. And last, you might be a Baptist if you're sitting in a Pentecostal church and somebody raises their hand and you wave back at them. I'm going to ask my son to come up now. Jimmy's 20 and he's got his private pilot's license and working on his commercial license. And told me not long ago, he said, Dad, just think now I can fly you anywhere you want to go. I said, I don't want to go anywhere. And I know you're thinking, bless his heart. But this is the same child that not long ago couldn't remember if he's got homework tonight or not. What if he's getting ready to land that thing and he forgets which button he's supposed to push? Jimmy came in a few months ago and said, Dad, I found you a song. And I said, Jim, I've got all the songs I need. He said, Dad, Trust me. When a teenager tells you that, it does not encourage you any. But he played it for me, and I said, you're right. I need to sing that one. And if you don't like it, if you do, I was the one that made the decision to do it. Well, here it is. It's a song written by Mike Snyder. And it's the story of a fur coat. Here it is. Since all her friends have got one, now my wife wants one too. A knee-length, fuzzy fur coat, nothing else will do. Said she'll look real classy, make me proud of her, if I just break down and buy her a fur. Well, it got me to thinking, how am I gonna swing that sort of deal? Lord knows I can't afford it. It's wrong to steal. But the problem finally solved itself like a bolt out of the blue. Jumped right out in front of me on Highway 22. That big old German Shepherd, my car he did not see. Now he's in dog heaven, but his hide belongs to me. For 3 weeks in the basement, I worked late almost every night. It was mostly trial and error, but I finally got it right. I put it in a cardboard box, carried it upstairs to her. Oh, she was tickled pink to see that fur. Now she's got a fancy fur coat that reaches all the way to her knees. But she's been complaining lately, said her closet's full of fleas. She don't know old Fido is wrapped around her tight, and she's putting on the dog when she goes out at night. Well, she's been depressed here lately since I backed out over the cat, but I think she'll feel much better when I give her this new fur hat.